I had a man I met one time in Santa Fe when I was working at an inn, and he said a rabbi actually told him, and he was a Methodist minister, he said a rabbi told him one time there's only two religions in the world. He goes, there's conservatives and liberals.
Yeah, right.
But I took it kind of to the next level, and I thought, I feel like spirituality, true spirituality, is more abstract than dogma, and that religion, maybe the conservative side of religion is the dogmatic side, and the more liberal side is the more abstract. It's a little more, and that would be the mystical side.
I think if you look at, in Judaism, we have two approaches, and I think this relates to our very being.
Mm-hmm.
We have what's called keva and kavanah, and keva is that which is fixed. It's that which is intellectualized. It's that which is physical. It's that which is simply something that you do because you do. We also have the other side, which is kavanah, which means intention, and that's something that you do because your heart calls you to do it. It's something that's based on experience, and it's something that's very personal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's seen that when both of those act in unity is when you really get the juice, when you really get the lift off.
Ah.
And you can somewhat look at conservative and liberal in that way.
Mm-hmm.
That liberal is it's kind of an I relationship. It's what am I experiencing myself internally? How do I understand myself and my world, and how do I react to it based on my own experiences? And you could take conservative has to do with what does a community tell me?
Mm-hmm.
What are the shared traditions? What does history and convention tell me that I need to do within that situation? And that's what drives you. And ideally, I think all spiritual traditions say, look, we're both. We're physical, and we're also spiritual. We're also totally non-physical.
Mm-hmm.
And those two systems operate in unity to make us human beings.
A moderate.
I want. My wife tells me that I need to write a book called Passionate Modernism, or whatever the right word should be. That really, and certainly Buddhism teaches this, right? The middle way.
Absolutely, it's integration.
That the extremes are just distortions of what's true.
Mm-hmm.
And that the truth. There's a wonderful, if you know Nachman of Bratslav, he was a 19th century Hasidic mystic, and he said that all the world is just a narrow bridge.
Mm.
He says, but the key thing is not to be afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And so that to walk down that middle road, it's very narrow, but don't fear falling off on either side.
Well, if I look at it as a sound current, as the Word made flesh, so to speak, I think that those things that come out of the non-duality are impossible to describe with duality language. So when they come into this realm, as they manifest, they are valuable, but they're not the entire picture. So that always creates a real dynamic for people to operate in, because there's always new things coming in.
Oh, sure. Whenever you're in an either-or situation, you realize that neither one of you have got it right. Because so when people say, "Is it either this or this?" I go, that's not the question. The question is, what's the dialectic that unites both of them so that it doesn't become an either-or choice?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, tell us how a rabbi became a managing director of a major New York real estate company and then became the spiritual counselor or teacher for its staff. That's a really interesting story.
Right. No, not a typical CV, I think.
No.
Well, I was, again, I studied architecture. My passion, really to kind of go backwards a little bit, I gave you the kind of the functional outline of my life, but not the interior outline, perhaps. That my real passion as a child was art. That through the gateway of art, I knew at a very young age the possibility of a transcendent existence. That I saw, and I didn't know anything about it. I was a small child, but I saw through the vision of an artist the possibility of another world and another way to be, and that made me realize a long time ago that my fixed way of seeing things is not the only way that there is. And so I had that, somehow I had that knowledge, but it didn't cross over beyond that. So I really wanted to study art and be an artist, and I discovered that my ability to understand and perceive and relate to art didn't translate to my ability to do it very well. And so I was never, and I was never quite as good as Cezanne, And so I eventually went into architecture, which seemed to be a way to be artistic, but also to be in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that for many years. I met, and I was an architect. When I moved to New York, I met my boss, David Arena, on the train as I was going back and forth from my house up in Westchester, and he lives just north of us in Greenwich. And the first time I met him, he was sitting across the aisle from me, and I recognized him. He's a very, very well-known businessman in New York City, and he's in the same industry as me. And it happened to be on a sweltering August day, and I had just run like 20 blocks to get to the train from a meeting, and I needed to get home, and I was absolutely drenched. And there was sweat pouring down my face, and I reached into my pocket and pulled out this soggy, limp business card, and I introduced myself and gave it to him, and he looked at me like, I was some kind of Martian or something, and politely accepted it. and I thought, oh, that's it, that I blew that one. About 3 or 4 months later, I was sitting on the train going home on Friday early for the Sabbath, and I was actually drinking a beer, which I like to do as I head home sometimes on Fridays. And I was reading a Hebrew text, and he sat down right next to me. I think he hadn't remembered that we met, and he looked over my shoulder and saw this Hebrew. And he said, I don't mean to bother you, sir, but what are you reading? And I said, well, it's actually the Bible in its original language. And he said, oh, are you a religious man? And I said, well, as a matter of fact, I'm an ordained rabbi. And I said, I'm also an architect, and I work in real estate. And we got into this wonderful conversation about spirituality, faith, and how they interact in our lives, especially at work. And he and I became friends, and we get together for a cup of coffee or for lunch and talk about those things. During that time, he did a little research on me, discovered I, was a pretty effective business person as well, and asked me to come over to Grubb & Ellis to head up one of their divisions as a managing director. But when he hired me, he pulled me to the side and said, Alan, I have something to ask of you that I hope you'll say yes to. He said, our staff meets every Monday morning, about 80 to 100 hard-nosed New York real estate brokers. He said, I'd like you to start our staff meetings with a little message to them. Not anything religious, not a sermon per se, but a message of inspiration, of hope. Talk to them about gratitude, about persistence, about balance, about honesty, about authenticity. And so that became the genesis of my book, 5 Minutes on Mondays. For 5 minutes every Monday morning, I would do these little sermons. And I would draw from a whole variety of traditions because I know these traditions, both through my study of philosophy and art, my time studying Eastern mysticism, my knowledge of Buddhism, and my knowledge of business. And I would draw on all those different sources to elucidate these different points. And I would write these down every week, and we'd send them out to thousands of people who really liked them. They eventually got into the hands of my dear friend Martin Root, who I know you know in Santa Fe, the author of Chicken Soup for the Soul of the Work. He sent it to his publisher, Pearson. They liked it, and we repackaged it as 5 Minutes on Mondays.
Great. And when is that? Is it out now on the market?
It's very exciting. I just got the author's copies last week. It's available online at Amazon and all the other places, and through my website and through the book's website starting next week. And it'll be in the bookstores in April.
Terrific.
Yeah.